Hello, we are group number 4 and we are going to talk about Roman fever. We are Lucy, Danny, Pauli, Sarah, Eve, and me. The author of Roman fever is Edith Wharton. She was born in New York City on January 24, 1862. She was anonymous, interested into the world of writing because her family did not want her name appeared in print since writing was not considered a proper occupation for a society woman. She began writing fiction Variety as a year published more than 50 books. She lived with servant and carried up down between her and love relationships than even in divorce.
Now that she has spoken about culture, we can mention Taranto. Roman Fear was created in the 1930s and is set in the 1920s. The stories, characters, and values reflect the attitude of the upper class society in New York in the last half of the 19th century. Mrs. Slade and Mrs. Ashley are the product of that environment of affluence and relative ease. The author Wharton belonged to this circle and was able to make this society come alive in her story. These members of high society entertain themselves by attending the theater or an opera, dinner and lunch parties, by traveling abroad. In the society, women were seen as moral judges, but despite this important role, most families did not believe that girls needed to be educated. Instead, they felt that education should be acquired only for womanly purpose. For instance, to fill her future husband's needs. A woman's role in life was to be a homemaker, and her single-minded purpose was to make a good marriage. The role and accepted form of the hire of American women in the 20s and 30s changed. After decades of struggling, women had won the right to vote when the 19th. Few women now has flappers assert their right independence by wearing short dress, wearing makeup, and cutting off their long hair into bobs. They drove cars, play sports, and smoke cigarettes in public. Young women also increasingly worked outside the home, which brought them great economical and social freedom. When a woman married, however, she was expected to quit her job and function solely as wife and mother. Thus, despite the achievements of women and change in society, the homemaker still remained the ideal American womanhood.
The characters. Alida Slade is a confident and charming middle-aged widow of Delphine Slade. She has high color and energetic brows. She displays contradictory feelings of jealousy, superiority, and affection for Grace Ansley. She is Jenny's mother and she is very envious. Grace Annesley is a middle-aged widow of Horace Annesley. She is reserved, modest, and sentimental, but she has a passionate, secretive, and complex inner life. She is Barbara's mother. Horace Annesley is the late husband of Grace, a very wealthy man. Delphine Slade is the late husband of Alida. He worked as a corporate lawyer. Barbara Annesley is lively, sparkling daughter of Grace. Her personality inspires envy in Alida. Jenny Slade is the daughter of Alida. She is beautiful but lacks of charisma and charm. The head waiter, he is supervising waiter of the Terrace restaurant. And Harriet, she is the sixth, a great aunt of Grace. Harriet and her sister loved the same man, and she died of Roman fever.
As it was mentioned before, the story takes place in one afternoon in Rome. Two middle-aged mothers and also widows are at the terrace of a restaurant saying goodbye to their daughters who are going out with some pilots. These girls leave their mothers there to catch up. At first, you can't really notice the tension between the two characters. In fact, you may think that in the first pages you are reading about two ladies who have been friends since childhood and haven't seen each other since then. In the dialogues, you can't notice that Mrs. Slade is bored of her daughter. She wants a dynamic and active daughter, not just an angel. This woman, Mrs. Slade, has been looking something to do also, because her husband is dead. She's bored of life, I think. She would even wish for her daughter to fall in love with the wrong man so she would need her. But well, these two are just sitting there talking about the city, talking about the beautiful view and else. Mrs. Slade gets more and more irritated with time. She spends so much time getting Mrs. Annesley wrong that she assumes that Mrs. Annesley gets her wrong too. Then there's some of a reveal that tells why Slade dislikes Annesley. Basically, Slade talks about a letter that Annesley received when they were both younger from Slade's husband, who is now dead. In the letter, Slade's husband, whose name was Delphine, asked Annesley to meet him in front of the Coliseum after hours evening. So Annesley was a little bit confused, and she was like, "How do you know about this letter? I got rid of it years ago. I burned it." And Slade was like, "Yes, you would, naturally." So Annesley asks to Slade, "How in the world do you know about this letter?" So Slade goes by, "I wrote it." "You wrote it?" "Yes, I did." So, yes, Annesley did go to the Coliseum to meet her friend's fiancé, and then she contracted Roman fever. Slade was really upset that her friend would dare go to meet her fiancé. But then Slade says to Annesley, "Well, I can forgive you because you felt ill later that evening, so it's okay, let's leave it in the past." But Annesley tells her, "I met with your fiancé there, I met with Delphine." So Slade was like, "You did what?" And She was really upset. She was really, really hurt. Why your friend would do that to you? I kinda understand her. So Slade wants to have the last word and wants to hurt Ansley because she was hurt too. So she says to her, well, I had him for 25 years. And there's a surprise there because Ansley responds to her with, I had Barbara. And then she leaves. And that's how the story ends.
Well, now that you know the story, we can talk about the title and its relevance for understanding it. First of all, Roman fever refers to a pneumonia which was a fatal disease in Rome at that time. The chances of contracting the disease increased greatly in the 19th century when the mosquito that spread infection were very active. Then, symbolically, Roman fever refers to the fever of the passion that the two women experienced when they visited Rome as young girls. They were passionate young women looking for an adventure, looking for romantic and passionate experiences. Roman fever also symbolizes jealousy and strong emotions. For example, Grace catches it in her love for Delphine, and also it represents Alaida's jealousy of Grace and her later jealousy of Barbara. However, Roman fever is most significant not for the ordinary meaning of a material disease, but for its symbol of the obsessive jealousy and vengeful antagonism which are capable of destroying many relationships as well as disturbing the human's peace of mind.
Well, as you can see, this short story is like a perfect combination between a soap opera and a reality show. In fact, it has inspired many TV series such as Gossip Girl, Gilmore Girls, because it is full of lies, full of gossip. It is full of kind of girly problems, romantic relationships, friendships. As we have seen, these short stories about two ladies who happen to run across in Rome. They have been friends since childhood, but there are lots of lies and deceits between them. But, well, they are just there talking, and at some point, one of them, that is Mrs. Slade, decides to do away with something that's been in her mind for a very, very long time. So she talks about one letter bringing back some memories from their youth. But what happens is that she looks down on her friend. She thinks that she's better. She thinks that her friend, that is Mrs. Ansley, doesn't have what it takes to live life, let's say. But then there is some of a reveal, and Mrs. Ansley ends up telling her that she has cheated on her with her then fiancé, Delphine Slade, and she ended up having a child from him. So, in conclusion, we can say that there are some things that we can learn from this short story. First of all, don't judge a book by its cover. Remember that everything is not what it seems. Second, relationships can be easily affected by our emotions. Sometimes we let our emotions drive our lives, and we don't think about the consequences. But if we want to have healthy relationships, we must correct our feelings, our thoughts about the other person. We must talk about that. And talking about that, the third thing we can learn is that honesty is the best policy. Remember that telling the truth is always the best option, because at the end, the truth always reaches out to us. So it is better to start telling the truth. Well, that's all for now. We hope you have enjoyed this short story as much as we did. We hope you have enjoyed this presentation.